Plays a 4-year starter at tackle at Kansas. He played some guard at the Senior Bowl, played some tackle. He's got flex for both positions.
How much did that flexibility factor in to this pick, especially at this stage of the draft?
Quite a bit. Anytime you can get guys at that position value, you always rank that a little higher than a guy that's a one-hole player. Yeah, I mean, the guys that have flexibility and versatility are always valued.
So he's going to have some intelligence to him as well. Is he smart and football smart?
He's extremely intelligent. That's one of the things we loved about him. He's accepted to the Air Force Academy. The kid loves football. His intelligence is one of the things that stands out.
Brian, y'all waited until the 6th to get an offensive lineman. Does that indicate kind of how you feel about where the offensive line currently sits?
Oh no, I just think that's just kind of how it fell. We had players that we liked graded higher than some of the linemen on the board at the times that we picked, and that's sometimes just how the draft unfolds. And you're trying to take the best players you can find, your highest graded players, and that's what we've kind of done throughout this process. And we liked Adeniji. We had him graded pretty high, and we're happy that we've had a chance to take him where we took him. We liked him in some other spots a little bit higher too. So excited about his addition. He brings some ability to us that we like.
Another captain. I mean, it seems like everybody you draft is captain. You guys are working on that culture aspect pretty heavily, it looks like.
Yeah, it's important. Again, he's also a 4-year starter, so he's played a ton of football. Guys that are captains and have leadership qualities and work ethic and things that their peers at their schools respected about them are the types of people we want in our locker room. And it's important to us. The culture is important. The standard of culture is important. And those guys tend to stand out in that regard as far as work ethic and how they treat their profession. That's why you want guys that are in those leadership roles.
The Senior Bowl seems to be paying off for you. Third straight pick where you either coached a guy or I guess you played against this guy, but it seems to be helping you guys out.
Yeah, it was a distinct advantage, especially given how things unfolded as the offseason went along. And we did a lot of work on all the players at that game, and we're well ahead of your normal process if you didn't coach that game. So, it's an advantage, and you really get a chance to know these guys and see them, interact with them. So, you use it to your advantage when you can.
What are some of the things you liked when you saw him down there?
He's extremely athletic. He's physical. He's kind of a pure offensive lineman in that regard. He's got a lot of vowels in his last name. That gets me excited. But he played both. His flexibility, playing guard. He was supposed to come down and play tackle at the Senior Bowl. They moved him into guard just because of numbers. Didn't say a word and did it well. Looked good. He played the best versus the best teams they played against Baylor and OU in that conference. He's got some quickness to the second level. You can tell his football intelligence. There's a lot of things to like about him.
A 4-year starter at left tackle, or did they start him at right and eventually move him over at Kansas?
He's played both of them. He finished on the right side of Kansas, I think.
Okay.
How about at the Senior Bowl? Did he play more than one spot? Did he play both guards?
He ended up playing. He only played guard at the Senior Bowl, and then he repped in some of the drills and stuff as a tackle, but he played guard in the Senior Bowl game.
Was that to see if he could play guard, Brian, or because there were an abundance of tackles?
Both. I think there people want to see him play some guard. Anytime that you got a lot of tackles project as guards in the NFL, and so I think everybody wanted to see what he looked like playing inside. His size profile is good for either position. And sometimes those guys get moved inside and play really well, and sometimes they don't. So he's got position flex to play both. We liked him as a tackle, and he could play some guard if he needed to.
On the crossover,
you kind of talked about this.
I missed it. Go ahead. I couldn't see who was talking.
Go ahead, Lap.
Go ahead, Lap.
At the Senior Bowl in the crossover meeting, were you part of that? Or was it just Jimmy and everybody? Who else in that meeting with him when you guys had the crossovers on, toward the end of the week?
Yeah, that was Jimmy and Ben. That was Jimmy and Ben. They handled that. Jimmy's been really excited about Adeniji kind of through this whole process. It was one of the guys that he had targeted early on, probably after the Senior Bowl time with him, that he thought was going to be a good player, and especially for the value where you had a chance to pick him. So he's been one of Jimmy's favorites for a while.
Brian, I mean, we've talked about this before and we've discussed it on a number of different occasions, but just to revisit it today,
Yeah.
Your development of the offensive line as the year went on last year, why did you think that happened, or how did you view it as the spots that you guys improved most and the reasoning behind that?
I think that we've, obviously getting Jonah back is a big portion. It's like getting a first round pick again, which is nice to have him back in the fold. Obviously a guy that we thought was going to be and feel like he is going to be a cornerstone at left tackle for us. So that part we've added in that regard. But as far as the development goes, it's hard to play offensive line in the NFL right away as a young kid. And so Mike Jordan coming along, and he really played well as the year went on. We saw all the things that we thought we would see. It just takes time to learn how to play, to learn how to use the leverage, use your pad level, use your hands. It's a totally different game against totally different players when you get to these types of talent levels that you see. Trey Hopkins' emergence as a starting caliber center was really huge for us. And the more comfortable he got, the more he made that line his own. He became that unquestioned leader up front. We're going to have competition at the right guard spot. Xavier's coming in off of free agency. Alex Redmond's played some for us. Billy Price has played some for us, and Billy's got value because he's a center. So he's got position flex inside. And then Bobby he's been solid. He was solid this past year. And I think that we were obviously all high on Fred Johnson, the snaps that he got at the end of the year. Now, it's a small sample size, but there's going to be good competition there with Fred as a right tackle. Fred's also got position flex. He played guard in Pittsburgh. So we added Isaiah Prince as a waiver wire claim, as a depth signing, and see how he develops. So there's pieces there that development-wise occurred, and there's smaller developments, I think, than you would see. It's not going to jump out at you, and no one's going to jump up and down and say, "Oh, look how much better we are." But those things are happening, and they were happening as the season went along, and we're kind of right on the trajectory we thought they would be on, especially those young kids.
That's just the thing. I mean, how realistic is it to draft a tackle or even one of these interior guys once you get out of the top 50 picks? The reality of them being helpful their rookie year is pretty slim, isn't it?
I think it depends. Some guys surprise you, and a guy like Adeniji with his intelligence and his experience, you hope can maybe push some competition further along quicker than it does in some years. But yeah, that's legitimate. I mean, you get outside of the top 4 or 5 immediate impact starters, they all got drafted in the first round. That's just kind of the reality of how it shakes out.
With his athleticism, the way you changed your running game at the midpoint of the season, more pin and pull, more angle blocking type stuff, does he fit that? I mean, you drafted him to fit that type of scheme that you did so successfully in the second half?
I think he fits any scheme, really. His athleticism is certainly a plus. He does do a good job, as I said earlier. He's really good at climbing to the second level, so he's going to fit in his own scheme. He is physical, even though he's not a monster human being. He's very physical. He plays big, and so I don't know that there's anything that athletically he would not be able to do schematically.
Would you say the competition level at right tackle is the same it's going to be at right guard, or because you said Bobby was pretty solid last year, you feel like he's probably got the inside track to that right now?
I think we always want competition, and we're always going to try to find the 5 best guys that can help us win games. And whoever that ends up being, we're open to. There's no really incumbents at this point. Guys that play well are going to play. I think we've kind of proven that over the last year that we kind of stand by that philosophy that competition is legitimate, it's real, and these guys are expected to compete, and we'll find the best 5 guys to play. It gives us the best chance to go win games.
Brian, fair to say that the biggest concern for any team when you draft a quarterback, like really any quarterback as high as you guys did, is a line that doesn't protect him well enough, and it sort of gives him the jitters going forward. Is that your guys' biggest concern? And is that, how do you manage that if things don't go well with this group?
I'm not concerned about it. I think there's a lot of ways you can, if you're struggling in one particular area, say if you're struggling in pass protection, there is ways to help that. I do think when quarterbacks make good decisions, I think when you look at just taking quarterback hits and sacks, there's a lot of things that go into it, and it's usually never just on one particular person or one particular unit. Receivers got to get open, quarterbacks got to make decisions. It all works together. So there's ways you can help when you're struggling in certain areas. The run game is what it is, and we have good backs, and if they got to make somebody miss every now and again too. It's just kind of how it works. And so to sit here and say that I'm concerned about the quarterback getting hit, I'm really not. There's a lot of ways to help those things that become problems, and I don't think we're going to have a lot of problems with it either, to be honest with you. The other part of it too is protection-wise and scheme. We didn't have very many free runners last year. We were pretty solid as far as picking up pressures and blitzes. So those are the things we spend a lot of time on too, as far as the schematics goes with protection. And then if guys are having trouble, there's good players in this league on the other side of the ball. We find ways to help them. We chip, we nudge, we keep guys in protection if we have to. There's a lot of ways to mitigate any potential issues as the season goes along.
And you would think, with a rookie quarterback, normally that's a concern. Guys tend to hold the ball too long. They get stuck. Burrow, the number one elite trait you hear most about him is presence back there, ability to avoid the rush and see those things. Does that kind of make him maybe a little different than your standard rookie quarterback back there?
Yeah, I think his pocket, there's guys that feel the pocket great, and he's one of them. And so his ability to avoid the rush and avoid problems just based on his feel in the pocket, I think is something that will be a difference. That's part of the reason why we love him as much as we do, and his ability to escape and make plays on the move. Those are traits that he has. That's kind of what the NFL is moving towards. You see all these guys that make plays are the guys that can move and get out of the pocket. Some of these guys would take a lot more sacks and take a lot more hits if they couldn't move, and so that's part of it too.
Obviously, when you made your scheme change in the running game, you stayed ahead of the chains. The down and distance was a lot more favorable in the second half of the season. That makes it easier to pass protect. I can attest to that. Did the numbers show that? Did the pressures and hits on the quarterback show that? Was there a significant difference when your running game improved?
Yeah, I think there always is. Anytime you got to force a defense to play a little more honest, as opposed to being in 2nd and 12 when they get to tee off, that makes a difference. So yeah, everything kind of marries together. Kind of as I said before, there's all that stuff fits, and if you can run the ball well enough and you get yourself in the down and distances where you're not facing pass rush all the time, and they're not treating second down like third down, and you're not getting a bunch of exotic looks because they know you got to throw it, then yeah, that helps everybody. That helps keep the rush down. It helps keep the defensive line honest. It's always better.
Brian, y'all got T. Higgins at the top of the second round. What did you like about him, and what do you feel like he brings to y'all's receiving core immediately?
Ooh, there's a lot of things I like about T. Obviously, we were really happy he was there when he was. We had high grades on him. Thought he was potentially going to be gone in the first. So we were thrilled when he was there. And his size, he's a big, long presence as a receiver. He's got an incredible catch radius. He's got great hands. Really, really great kid personality-wise. He's going to fit great on our team and in that receiver room. Works hard. Really highly regarded by the people down there at Clemson. We felt the same way when we spent time with him. He's got really good football intelligence, and I'm excited to see. We got a pretty intimidating group of pass catchers, I think, when you trot them all out there with AJ and Tyler Boyd, and you throw Auden Tate in there, and you throw T. Higgins in there, and you got John Ross's speed. It's a skill group that is exciting for us.